Carolyn Leavitt is not very good at her job. She is constantly outraged, annoyed, or out of control, unable to answer direct questions because, of course, her job is to lie on behalf of Donald Trump. Well, sometimes those lies get her into a bit of trouble. When that is the case, she melts down. And that's exactly what we saw as Gavin Newsom fired back with a lawsuit that has Carolyn Leavitt screaming in a meltdown that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now, before we can get into this lawsuit that Newsom is launching and the crazed freakout that we are seeing from Leavitt because of it, we have to start with the latest update from Gavin Newsom on his redistricting fight against Donald Trump that has him so upset. And it's what Newsom said right here that starts us off.
We are moving forward. Make no mistake. California is moving forward as a state that's larger than 21 state populations combined. We are not a small, isolated state. State larger than 21 populations combined. We tried to play by a higher set of standards and rules with our independent redistricting, and we believe in that. And we are not talking about eliminating that commission. We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas, and we will nullify what happens in Texas. We will pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people, and that's the difference between the approach we're taking and the approach they're taking. We're doing it on a temporary basis, we're doing it in a fully transparent way, and we're doing it by asking the people of the state of California for their consent and support. Mark that stark contrast to what's happening in Texas and other states.
Governor Newsom also made this post today mocking Donald Trump, writing, "Donald Taco Trump, as many call him, missed the deadline. California will now draw new, more beautiful maps. They will be historic as they will end the Trump presidency. Dems take back the House. Big press conference this week with powerful Dems and Gavin Newsom, your favorite governor. That will be devastating for MAGA. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Gavin Newsom," which led, of course, Trump to freak out and attack Newsom, as we can see right here.
Lost their spirit. They've lost their heart because the mayor's incompetent and Gavin Newsom is incompetent. He's got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, you know, it's amazing. You know, I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And
the trolling from Gavin Newsom and his team, A+. I said this when I had the great opportunity a little bit ago to sit down with the governor and have an interview, which I do suggest you check out. We had a lot of fun mocking our least favorite people in this administration. But this press office is killing it, and it gets under Donald Trump's skin. It distracts him, but it also delivers a message in a way that we need it to be delivered, with strength, in a way that is not intimidated, that is ruthless, not feckless, and that has been kind of the mantra of Gavin Newsom right now. And he's not backing down in any way, especially when Donald Trump attacks his state, which is what he's doing right now. Gavin Newsom shot back at him, then we're going to get into the lawsuit. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Friday blasted Donald Trump's demand for $1 billion from UCLA over anti-Semitism allegations in return for millions of dollars in frozen federal research grants, describing the president's move as an attempt to silence academic freedom. Newsom continued in this clip we see right here.
Yeah, we'll sue. I mean, this is a separate topic, but it's not necessarily disconnected from this topic. Donald Trump today is trying to silence academic freedom. He's attacking one of the most important public institutions in the United States of America, one of the finest institutions of higher learning in the world, one of the great research institutions in this country, one of the reasons California is the tentpole of the U.S. economy. One of the reasons we have more scientists, engineers, more Nobel laureates than any other state in this nation. He has threatened us through extortion with a $1 billion fine unless we do his bidding. So as long as I'm governor, I will stand tall and push back against that. And I believe every member of California legislature feels the same way. We will not be complicit.
So Donald Trump is once again trying to extort a university. Now, of course, he was successful in extorting my alma mater in Columbia, but I don't think UCLA or Gavin Newsom, certainly not Gavin Newsom, is going to be intimidated by Donald Trump. They know that you got to stand up to the bully. If you give him your lunch money, he's going to be back the same time tomorrow. Gavin Newsom's not doing that. It's why he said he is firing back at Donald Trump right now with a lawsuit going after this administration. And when Carolyn Leavitt got wind of that, she melted down.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, okay. Hi, thank you. Hi. Gavin Newsom has said that California is going to sue in response to the government's demand for $1 billion from UCLA over the DOJ's anti-Semitism findings. Newsom has called this extortion and ransom, so I'm wondering what the White House's response is to Newsom on UCLA.
Bring it on, Gavin. This administration is well within its legal right to do this, and we want to ensure that our colleges and our universities are respecting the First Amendment rights and the religious liberties of students on their campuses, and UCLA has failed to do that. And I have a whole list of examples that I will forward to Gavin Newsom's press office if he hasn't seen them himself. Brett.
Bring it on? Really, Carolyn? You think you can hang? You think you got any shot? I don't think so. This is an administration constantly whining and woe is me, woe is us over every ruling that goes against them. The only ruling that they're okay with is one that prevents the grand jury transcripts in the Ghislaine Maxwell case from coming out. By the way, information that Donald Trump is able to release if he wants. But no, Carolyn Leavitt says, oh, well, we can't. The judge said no, so I guess we can't release any more information about Ghislaine Maxwell. This is not true. But of course, they don't care. They never care about what a judge has to say in the same way that they never care about the law, the same reason why they are so upset with this lawsuit. Donald Trump always loses. Donald Trump will continue to lose. And as we get closer to the midterms, those losses that are coming are really going to start hanging over him because, as Gavin Newsom says, and is true about, Donald Trump's term effectively ends when Democrats retake the House and hopefully, if we work hard in Maine, in Ohio, in North Carolina, in Texas, flip the Senate as well. Well, what is Donald Trump doing to stop that? Well, lots of things. Of course, we know that. He's not doing anything in the way of good policy or trying to boost his approval rating. He's trying to steal seats. That's what started all of this. But now he's taken an extra step, and that's what we see in D.C. And a lot of people thought that the first day, although lots of peaceful protesters were harassed, I saw last night clips of students at, take a guess, which university in D.C. do you think had the cops flooding their campus, doing random stops, random checks? Which one? Which university in D.C.? Oh, it was Howard, the historically black college. Now, why would Donald Trump send a bunch of cops to a historically black college? Why would he do that? For no purpose at all. Maybe the racism, the bigotry, is that it? Nothing was happening at Howard. Of course, this is just intimidation, and Donald Trump wants plenty of clips on Fox of black students being pulled over for driving, being taken aside for walking. Maybe you were studying a little too intensely. Can we search through your bag? Because that's a crime, existing while black to Donald Trump. Of course, that's a crime to him. But why are we seeing more cops on the streets, a takeover of D.C.? Well, a couple reasons. But Nicole Wallace broke some of the most important ones down right here.
It's a shock just to say it out loud. There are boots on the ground in the streets of our nation's capital this afternoon, today. National Guard troops arrived earlier today acting on orders from their commander-in-chief to execute a takeover of Washington, D.C.'s police department in order to fight crime, which data suggests is at its lowest in decades. And we should point out, which hasn't been done in the past to solve crime or anything else. Earlier, Mayor Muriel Bowser met with Attorney General Pam Bondi, along with several top Justice Department officials, about how to actually implement Trump's new directive, as protests have erupted across Washington, D.C. And while administration officials maintain that Donald Trump's decision to federalize D.C.'s police force is entirely legal, there are clear and obvious questions and concerns about what happens next. More specifically, what if this is just the beginning? On that topic, the Washington Post today, citing internal Pentagon documents, published exclusive new reporting into a plan that would formalize a so-called military reaction force for deployment in instances of civil unrest. Quote, the plan calls for 600 troops to be on standby at all times so they can deploy in as little as 1 hour, the documents say. They would be split into 2 groups of 300 and stationed at military bases in Alabama and Arizona, with purview of regions east and west of the Mississippi River, respectively. Remember, Donald Trump's military takeover of Washington is just the latest instance of the ways in which Trump has directed the military to take action on American soil against Americans. From the New York Times, quote, already this year, Trump has deployed some 10,000 active duty troops to the southwest U.S. border to choke off the flow of drugs as well as migrants, and 4,700 National Guard troops and Marines to Los Angeles to help quell protests that had erupted over immigration raids and to protect the federal agents conducting them. All but about 250 of those National Guard troops have since been withdrawn. Now there will be 800 National Guard troops on the streets of Washington, D.C. for the foreseeable future. We don't really know how long they'll be there. But we cannot say that we weren't warned. Remember what General John Kelly told the New York Times in an interview before the November election.
And I think this issue of using the military to go after American citizens is one of those things I think is a very, very bad thing. Even to say it for political purposes to get elected, I think it's a very, very bad thing, let alone actually doing it.
In my opinion, what's happening in D.C. right now, what Donald Trump wants to accomplish is precedent for sending in the National Guard, for taking control of a police force. What's the precedent, though? Is it just I can do it? Yeah, sure, I'm part. But D.C. right now is seeing a historic drop in crime, one that Donald Trump is already beginning to attribute to himself. What I think Donald Trump wants to do here is say, I'm the guy who stops unrest. I'm the guy who stops commotion. I'm the guy who makes you safe. That's what he's trying to sell. I saw a lot of commentators pointing out the fact that not only did Donald Trump say that this is a good test case for Baltimore, Oakland, New York, LA, but also that he wants people from Iowa, from the Midwest, to feel comfortable going to D.C. So clearly he's kind of preaching to that choir, people who are already afraid of cities, right? Those terrified little conservatives. So tough until you have to go to a city and see outdoor dining and multiculturalism. Ooh, so scary. But he wants those people to think, when he puts boots on the ground to steal ballot boxes, to intimidate election workers, that he's doing it in the name of keeping things peaceful. That's not the case, but that's what he wants them to think. And that's what we have to start calling out right now. And we're going to be on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And we were talking about Gavin Newsom. If you want to check out my interview with him, it's going to be here. It's going to be linked below. I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, I'll see you soon.